The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And we're back.
Oh, no, we're like a bad penny. We showed up again.
Yeah, much to the chagrin of many people, we're back. But to all the people who said they missed us, thank you. So
hey, I was accosted this morning as I stopped to get a drink, and they said, "Hey, you're supposed to be on the air shortly." I said, "I'm on my way. Look, I'm wearing my shirt. I'm on my way."
Yeah, well, it's good to be back. So.
Yeah, it is, and you know we're going to be looking at July. We'll be having a couple of weeks where we're down.
Yeah, we're going to have a rocky July for you regular viewers, because they're going to be doing some work at the college, and there'll be no power in this building, and I have to be away for a few days, and
yeah, so away Vegas.
Well, you know, somebody's got to do it. I'm going to go out there to report on the fights. So. But,
and the gaming, and the sports gaming.
Yeah, and the sports gaming, how well they're doing. Well, again, Fall River continues to be Fall River. And, you know, that's the thing. I'm looking over all the articles, and you know, it's the same, it's the same old. And the thing is that's one of the things we keep trying to highlight on the show. You know, there's always news, but the news is fundamentally just, you know, the only thing that changes sometimes is the names or the headline. Same old problems that never go away because government doesn't do anything except take your money. There's never a real addressing of the core issues. You know, there's never a focus on what we have to do to fix this city. Stop the influx of drug addicts. Stop the influx of people that are going to go to subsidized housing that don't contribute to the economy. The beginning of programs to train people with job skills, because how many years have we heard that there are jobs, but they can't be filled because people don't have the qualifications? Have we ever started any kind of program? No. We've got a couple of bureaucratic institutions that are supposed to be job training, and all they are political positions that people can have virtually no-show jobs and make big salaries, and the people coming out of there never get employed.
And we violate city ordinance because we don't pay them by city ordinance. We pay them stipends.
That's right. But then, hey, exactly, CJ. That's a great interjection into this conversation, because that shows what the real problem is.
Exactly.
They don't care, and it's gotten to the point where they're so arrogant about it.
They don't even try to hide it. They don't even try to hide it.
They admit it. We don't. You know, we're not. It's a way to circumvent city ordinance. Hey, I hate to tell you this, clowns. You people are city employees. You're supposed to not only enforce city ordinances, you're supposed to abide by them.
But why do that? I'm making some money.
You don't figure out ways to give all your friends pay raises without having to, you know, and then what will be the response to this? More city ordinances. Let's pass some more ordinances to cap salaries, and then we'll give them 1 million stipends. I mean, this is the whole thing. You look at this stuff, the purple bags, the opioid crisis. Lieutenant Governor Polita says that they're helping address the problem. Really? Didn't we just have somebody fall asleep in the middle of the street, overdose?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in the middle of the street. So fortunately, they didn't run anybody over before they passed out. But the fact is that this is what we got. The opioid problem continues to get larger. Have we done anything to try to make some of these nice communities that ship all their junkies to Fall River to share some of the burden? Has anybody? No, we got our mayor. He loves drugs. Bring them all in here so I can give people jobs. You know, we can have more drug czars and more drug counselors and more everything while the citizens get it. And as Marc said at the end of his column about the bags, when government passes out on a sidewalk like the junkies do, it is rushed to a fundraiser where it is pumped full of frosty Heineken and campaign contributions. And this is the line the line I love. From people who don't live in Fall River, or who at least don't live near you. So we know what end of the city they're talking about, where most of the councilors are from. And it's like a little enclave outside of the real Fall River. So,
but you know, Marc's column started out very interesting. Fall River government is addicted to your money.
Yeah.
Addicted to your money. The cops are scraping overdose blue-lip junkies off the sidewalks, and Fall River city government remains focused on trash bags. When it comes to death, we make it here.
That's right. You know, and like I said, his columns are all, you know, and again, trash bags have hidden consequences. There's 3 articles here about trash bags.
That trash bag article about the consequences are all from people who want to keep the trash bags, like people like Weight Zero.
Yeah.
Okay? They're not from the people of Fall River. You know, the voter? You know, you the voter? It's not from you the voter. You have 4 city councilors right now. Steve Long, Brad Kilby, Sean Kadim, and Pamela Liberté LeBeau.
And
all
where
want to keep
3
that.
out of 4 of them live, you know? So,
yeah.
I mean, I'll bet you if you drive around the North End, you won't find a lot of trash receptacles without bags and recyclables with no plastic bags in them. Drive down my street. Since the implementation of the purple bags, I can take you to a house that has never ever used a purple bag, and every single item in their recycle bin is wrapped in a plastic bag, which it isn't supposed to be.
Interestingly enough,
so to me, that's an insult. This whole program is a slap in the face to us dummies, and I'm including myself in there because I'm a dummy because I buy the bags. I have to use the bags because I know they'll lock me up if I don't use them. Well, they won't do what my neighbor up the street does. They just drive by and dump his crap, take his recycles wrapped in bags from the local markets and plastic bags, dump them in and drive away. If it was me, I'd have every inspector in the world down there, all the enforcement officers. They'd wallpaper my house in tickets. But I buy the bags. Well, I abide by the city ordinance. But our city elected officials sit in the Chamber of Horrors, which is now the new name as far as I'm concerned for the city council chamber, the Chamber of Horrors. And they tell you, we don't care about the city ordinance. Who cares about the city ordinance? We just give people stipends. We don't care about anything. We complain about the unfunded liability, then we increase the unfunded liability by changing people's groups, by giving everybody pay raises, by including people in the system that really shouldn't be there. But hey, you know, and what do? We keep electing these people. You keep electing them. And like I said, I've come to the conclusion that, look, I don't care who we got as mayor. The city council has now proven that they're the major problem. It's just like in Washington. I don't care if Donald Trump is the president. I don't care if Mickey Mouse is the president. The fact is, what's the problem in Washington? Partisan politics between the Republicans and the Democrats. You can't get anything done. The only thing they do is things that benefit themselves or their own constituents and their friends. So, you know, Koch brothers get some more benefits.
Interestingly enough, though, you know, you've got these city councilors who act like they care about things. At the ordinance committee meeting last week, they were like, oh, we can't give pay raises because we don't know where our budget is. We can't get rid of $2.3 million in pay-as-you-throw bags. Meanwhile, the city administration said clearly, we've already recovered the $2.3 million. So what the city council is saying to you, the voter, is we want your $2.3 million plus we want the increased fees. We want the increased taxes. We want the increased money. So we want to double dip again because we got to give our friends stipends to make them make the money that they want to make because we can't get the pay raises in ordinance. So we're going to screw the taxpayer no matter what we do.
Because what is the mantra of government? They never saw a tax that they would take away.
No, this is...
And this is a hidden tax. Look, the purple bags are a hidden tax. To hell with the fact that it raised $2.3 million when it should have raised probably $4 million, and they should have got like $8 million in fines, because when you drive around the city and see all the people that don't use bags, you know, if they would have actually enforced it, and like I said, it's a slap in the face for the people who use the bags, because you drive around a city and you see every color but purple in their trash. And you see their recycles full of stuff that with either plastic bags or stuff that isn't supposed to be in recycles. So guess what? I mean, you know, the taxpayer, if you can't get angry, we always tell you to stay angry. If you can't be angry, just walking out on a street and seeing pictures of junkies passed out in the middle of a road, you know, behind the wheel of a car, you know, and then having garbage like this, the state's going to help us. Yeah, the state's helping us good. They're giving us the barota. That's what they're doing. Because guess what? I said, what does the state do? The state's made Fall River the dumping ground for all the junkies. We're getting them from everywhere. All the people down the Cape with their feet up, making all their tourism dollars in the summer now.
Well, we can't have them crashing out on the beach of
We can't have the
Hyannisport.
junkies here. They send them up from Hyannis and Wareham, and they even had an HBO documentary. Those junkies didn't stay at the Cape.
No.
They send them to Fall River. Why? Why? Why do we have to have only 2 facilities in the state that basically take everybody? Why does it have to be us? We're like, you remember that movie Escape from New York?
Yep.
Where they turned New York City into a penal colony? Well, this is Fall River. We're an opioid colony. They send everybody here. That's how the state's helping us. I mean, I've never, you know, under duplicity in the dictionary, if you look it up, there's no longer a definition. There's just a picture of all our government officials. Because that's the definition of duplicity. Because this is the kind of garbage and propaganda they try to feed you. Fall River's opioid problem isn't going away. Neither are those who are trying to help. And those people trying to help are all getting big fat salaries for the most part. So don't give me, this is just, it's ridiculous.
But the interesting part about this is that people who come out and make statements like you and I make in regards to opioid crisis, a colleague of mine who's a nurse made a comment that, you know, she can't stand the problem already. This is ridiculous. It's time to let them die. It's time to stop with the Narcan. You know, and all of a sudden, you know, you're a nurse. You're not supposed to be that way. Nurses have these opinions because we're sick and tired of seeing the same people every day come through our emergency rooms. The same people over and over and over again, 4, 5, 6 times in a day. They get admitted to the hospital and they overdose in the hospital.
Yeah, and you're right. And the thing is, and who's paying for it? We are. And these people now have heroin parties because they got Narcan. And if they overdose, they can just take some Narcan and start all over again. So, I mean, that is an abuse. You know, the irony is, and like I said, a good friend of mine made that statement, and I love it. You know, when we lie to the government, you know, it's a felony. When they lie to us, it's politics. It's like this. If we did what they're doing, we would be condemned as enablers. We would be condemned as enablers. They would say, you are enabling this individual to stay. You're giving the alcoholic money to buy booze. You're giving the alcoholic liquor. You're taking the alcoholic to the bar. You're taking the junkie and you're enabling them. If we do it, they tell you you shouldn't do it. When the government does it, they wrap it in this cotton ball of, oh, we're so concerned. You know, these people that, some people are getting Narcan 2-3 times a day, sometimes 4 times a day.
You want to hear a good one?
They got frequent flyer cards.
But you want to hear a good one? You can pick up an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and take it to the pharmacy, and they will give you Narcan kits. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And who's paying for it? Somebody's got to be paying for it. You are. You, the taxpayer. You know, do you know that the police and the fire department get stipends because they carry Narcan? So who's paying for that? You are. And people are saying, oh, but that's one less person who might be dead. Not my concern. If I have cancer and I'm dying, they're not spending money to save me. If I have diabetes and I'm not, and I'm losing a leg, they're not saving money to save my leg, but they're spending more money on this opiate problem than they are on healthcare issues. Where do you want your money spent?
Well, remember, as I said, they propagandize and they spin it in their direction. It's no longer it's no longer a choice. It's no longer a behavior. It is now, they make everything into a disease. Everything has a name. They make everything before, when you had a kid that wouldn't sit down, and you just grabbed him and sat him in a chair and told him not to move.
Yeah, that's right.
Then all of a sudden his attention deficit disorder disappeared. Now we medicate, everybody, and we give everything a name. Now everything is a behavioral disorder and has a name.
We've moved up the line.
By doing that, we legitimize it. It no longer is sticking a needle in your arm. Now it's a disease. And I don't have to tell you that. You testified in front of a country, the country of Canada.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, they're quiet and they're polite, but they won't be bullied. But
here's the thing. We started out years and years ago with inebriate. Okay, we went from inebriate to medicate, and now we're into opiate.
Yeah.
Where are we going to go next?
Yeah.
Okay, it's time for the Hunger Games, I think, where you line up and you get hunted down, because this is where we're going as a society. Yeah. And people say that you're no good, you're a bad person if you don't support providing Narcan and providing, drug-related services. No, we provided alcohol-related services for years, and there was no changes. And that's why I say we went from inebriate to medicate, because what we did with people who were drunk was we gave them Librium. We gave them lots of medication to stay off the alcohol, and that didn't work.
Yeah.
So we've gone from inebriate to medicate to opiate.
Yeah. Well, they created the bottom line, look.
We've created a society of medication.
Let's cut the BS and let's call it what it is. And I don't have to tell you this, CJ. The reason that this program is getting nationwide attention, which, by the way, in the late 60s and early 70s, we had this issue, drug addiction, because Hal Holbrook made commercials about don't get busted for drugs in other countries.
Right.
And so that was almost 50 years ago, and it's only gotten worse. So what have we really done? Have we increased the laws? Have we attacked the cartels? No, we actually helped. CIA was bringing drugs into the United States. They were, but the reality is this is about money. The opioid has now become like our new military-industrial complex. Just like we have to build planes even when we don't need them, we have to build submarines to keep states' economies solvent. And way, way back when Eisenhower was the president, a former general of the armies, he said, beware of the military-industrial complex. Don't let it become part of an integral part of our economy. And we did, and now we can't do without it. And now, because we basically put half the country out of work. The opioid crisis is about money, because it's not about people dying. How many people have died from smoking cigarettes? Have they ever banned cigarettes? Have they ever made them? They've made it illegal to sell to younger children. and they come up with all these little laws and stuff that nobody pays attention to, and they get it from somebody else. Have they ever attacked the tobacco industry and said, you can't do this anymore? No. Tobacco industry's got too much money, employs too many people, and gives too much money to politicians. Did we ban alcohol? No. They're legal. Well, why don't we legalize drugs like the Netherlands?
Where they don't have opiate problems like
Where
this.
they don't have an opiate problem, exactly.
Portugal doesn't have an opiate problem.
That's right. But we don't do anything. We don't do anything that works, because the United States loves to think that we know everything, and we don't learn from anybody that does it right anywhere else in the world, because they don't know anything, because they're not Americans. Americans #1 in everything, and they're not. We're #1 in virtually nothing. Nothing. We're 47th in infant mortality. We're like 128th in math. You know, science, we're way down. You know, we've got the best of everything according to the propagandists.
When you have third world countries coming to America saying, hey, I did this math in 3rd grade.
we have third world countries that are actually higher than us in some educational, third world countries that have higher educational attainment. So guess what? You know, that's propaganda. And you know, the thing is, it's all about money. Can we learn from countries that don't have opioid problems? Can we learn from countries that don't have cancer, that have banned GMOs and banned chemicals? No, because this is America. We know everything. We can't learn from anybody else. They don't know anything. They're not Americans. There's a great thing on YouTube. Go see it. I think it's the best 3 minutes ever. It came from some TV show or a movie where somebody has a dialogue on you know, where America stands on things like infant mortality, educational attainments and stuff like this. And it's right. It's accurate. And it's really sobering to look at that, because that's one of the problems that we have here. The politicians have convinced you that we're doing everything the best way possible, and it's wrong. We haven't, you know, we're trying to not reinvent the wheel. We're going to do it the way that's going to make the most money. That's the precipitator in the United States of everything that happens. Because guess what? You can go to Tokyo, Japan, walk around with your wallet hanging out. You're probably not going to get mugged. You're probably not going to get murdered. Tokyo's larger than New York City. Why? Nobody wants to go to jail in Tokyo. Nobody wants to commit a crime in
For
Japan.
10 years.
Because there are some serious repercussions. You can get 10 years in jail for drunken driving in Japan. And if you dare drive again, and every time you turn on the news there's somebody that gets DUI'd for the 40th time and has killed somebody or smashed through a store for his 20th or 40th DUI, you know where he'd be in Japan? He'd be doing time. They revoke your license in Japan for 10 years. They catch you driving, you're done. You're done. You're gonna go to jail for a long, long time. When you come out, you're gonna be too old to drive if you ever come out. But heaven forbid we do that, because you know why we won't do that? Some senator's kid might get DUI'd.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
some senator might get DUI'd.
Exactly.
You know, and they don't want to do time. And
But
that's the reality. The reality is there are two worlds. You know, a tale of two cities.
Yep.
Well, there is a tale. There's a tale of two Americas. The America and Fall River for the people who have to try to work 2 or 3 jobs, and the Fall River for the inhabitants of the Chamber of Horrors, formerly known as the City Council Chamber.
But you know,
the people who live in a bubble, the people who think about, oh, everybody I know wants purple bags. Well, everybody you know who lives in the north end of the city and is making more money than an entire family that lives in
Pamela
other
Taylor
areas.
both said everybody she spoke to wants purple bags.
Yeah.
I want to know who she's talking to, because guess what? Her head is so far up someone's derriere that she needs to pull it out fast, because she's drowning in that crap.
Well, tell her to walk up and down 5th and Wade and a few of those streets and see how
All she's going to do is walk up and down the Flint.
Yeah,
walk
see,
up and,
see
walk
how
up
many
and down
purple
Daniel
bags,
Street.
number one, see how many purple bags are in the trash. And then walk into the housing unit that's not using purple bags and say, why aren't you use purple bags? And if you get out alive, she might change her opinion.
But, you know, the thing is, I had a phone call yesterday about somebody who has left private trash hauling to go back to city trash and has not bought a bag since. And it's been 3 years. Has not bought a bag since, never once, and never got fined. But what does Steve Long want to do? Steve Long wants to not only fine you, the trash maker, the person who doesn't use the bag, he wants to fine the landlords. Talk about doubling. He wants to fine the landlords instead of the tenants. He goes, because you're responsible. It's tiring, because landlords are responsible for everything their tenants do.
Well,
nuisance properties and everything.
They want the $2.3 million for one reason, because they never saw income coming in that they didn't want to keep.
Because Fall River is addicted to your money.
Just like our state reps will not give you they won't give you a sales tax holiday.
No.
They'll give themselves stipends and pay raises, and they'll give themselves per diem and travel expenses they get if they drive more than, I don't know, 20 miles or 25 miles, they get $100 a day. How many people work out of town and get $100 a day because they have to drive to work? I mean, look, if this doesn't get you incensed, I don't know what does. I mean, if you can't see this country is unraveling. We had a country at one time that was fundamentally created by people who wanted to get away from countries that were divided. It was a melting pot. It's no longer a melting pot. The pendulum is swinging the other way. We're dividing this country into ethnic groups, by color, by ethnicity, by sexual preferences. You get it. If you got a group that politicians can pander to for their vote, they don't want you to assimilate. Years ago, when your grandparents came to the United States, they had to learn how to speak English. Presidents like Theodore Roosevelt said, there's no such thing as a hyphenated American. Some of the best Americans I ever knew were naturalized Americans. But you were required to assimilate into this country. And that assimilation created what this country was supposed to be, a melting pot. We're no longer a melting pot. We're a bunch of tribes. And that's the way they like it. Because remember the old saying, and politicians understand this strategically, united we stand, divided we fall. And they're dividing us. Every single day, they're dividing us. While they're stealing our money to pay for junkies, while they're stealing our money to give themselves pay raises, and while they're making the people who abide by the law continue to buy purple bags, while a third of the city has never used purple bags, and then they just discount it. The hell with it.
It's the problem, but this is the problem.
And remember, we did have enforcement officers at one time.
And we still do, but you know what we found out about them at this ordinance committee meeting? That's not their only job. They also got to enforce dumping. They've got to enforce all these other litter issues.
And they're probably enforcing nuts, kind of like Kathy Ann getting a stipend for doing economic development, which she's not.
Right, exactly. And this is the problem. This is how, Fall River's falling apart. And we're falling apart because you, the voter, you, see the finger? I'm pointing right at you, the voter, are voting back the same people over and over and over again, and they're not doing anything but taking your money. Wake up, smell a cappuccino.
It's a
God.
cappuccino. What's that?
God, it's coffee.
Oh, I know. Look, and more jobs for their friends, and they just keep doing it, and then they stand up, and like I said, the level of arrogance is just incredible. They get up there and they blatantly tell you, hey, this is to circumvent city ordinances. And if that doesn't upset you, well, we're glad to be back. And as you see, we got a lot of things that we've been angry for a week. We've been just waiting to get here. So we'll see you on Wednesday. And stay angry. And if this stuff doesn't get you angry,
nothing will.
I don't know what will.
Have a great day.